they say absence makes the heart grow fonder. If that's true, the Sox and Indians are getting tired of one another. This is 10 games in less than a month, starting this 3-game series between the Sox and the Tribe once again at Progressive Field. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. Last we saw Cleveland, the Sox split 4 with the first-place Indians, but 2 dangerous lefties in that lineup.
Lonnie Chisenhall, one of them. Now that he's healthy, he's become a force, and Michael Brantley is always very good. But we'll look at Chisenhall first and realize that when he's ready to go, he makes this offense go. Chisenhall, former #1 draft pick, hits the ball all over the field. And his last 7 games, he's hitting over 500. He scored 5 runs. And that teamwork with Michael Brantley certainly makes his offense in high gear. Last 6 games hitting .320. That's a solo home run, and against our boys in Chicago, he was a big force in that 4-game series. So a couple of lefties against Dylan Covey tonight, and they're not easy to get out.
Covey's been tremendous for the White Sox. He has been a quality start machine. His opposition is Trevor Bauer.
This is a really good rematch because they went head-to-head in Chicago, and Dylan Covey won. Bauer's been throwing awfully well. It included that game in Chicago. 7 2/3, just 4 hits and 3 earned runs, but it was 1 too many as Dylan Covey was very good and Bauer has all 4 pitches. He throws hard and he throws a lot of strikes. Dylan Covey has been a revelation this year. He's been healthy, he's been strong, he's throwing everything over the plate, and that split change along with his moving fastball and his sinker have been just unbelievable. Against the Indians, he went 7 innings, gave up 10 hits, but because he didn't walk anybody, only gave up 2 earned runs. That was good enough to win. He's 3-1 this year, and the sinker is sinking. That's been his big weapon, as has a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Sox and Indians, game number 1 is on the way. Sox trying to do some more damage to the Indians' playoff hopes. Abreu and the boys on the road for game number 1 after this.
Toyota, let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago is brought to you in part by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota, let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. By Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Miller Lite, hold true. White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago is brought to you in part by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. By Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Miller Lite, hold true.
Pretty hard to move that fast in this heat, but they can do it in Cleveland. Likely to be 90 degrees plus at game time as the Sox and Indians get together for game number 1 of a 3-game series. Time now for the White Sox lineup. It's brought to you by the Webb Auto Group for the best lineup of Chevys, Fords, Mitsubishis, Genesis, and Hyundais at the best price. Go to webcars.com. Moncada and Sanchez, the switch hitters up top. Kevin Smith in the 5 spot with a gaudy average. And then Charlie Tilson, who's put up some very good numbers the last week plus.
The defensive setup for the Indians presented by UI Health, and this is how Terry Francona is going to throw them out there tonight with Brantley, Davis, and Chisenhall left to right. Then it's Ramirez, Lindor, Kipnis, and Alonso in the infield. Roberto Perez has the plate, and our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is Trevor Bauer. Bauer in his 15th start, he's only 5-5, but a splendid ERA of 2.69, 121 strikeouts and 93 2/3. His control has been good, and all in all, he's just a terrific pitcher with opponents hitting .211. As you can see, no preference between the right and the left-handers. Umpires for the game tonight. Lance Barksdale has the plate. Then it's Ryan Addington at first base, Will Little, and the crew chief Ted Barrett at third base tonight. It's humid. There's threat of pop-up showers, but nothing to interfere with the ball game as Ricky Renteria's got his team fresh off a very disappointing Detroit series. And Yoan Moncada ambling to the plate. And with that, time for me to turn it over to my humidity-laden partner, Jason Benetti.
Oh, that is true. You walk to the ballpark from the hotel and you're a lagoon today here in Cleveland. But it's better than having it be too cold, right? We're ready to go. Yoan Moncada will lead it off. He'll be followed by Yolmer Sanchez and Jose Abreu as Trevor Bauer takes his aim at the Sox. And we are off and running from Progressive Field right at 7:10 local time, 6:10 in Chicago.
It was a very hittable first ball fastball. Yoan fouled it off. That's likely to be the best pitch to hit in the sequence.
Moncada finds his way into right field for a leadoff hit, and he continues to torment opposing pitchers as the leadoff batter in the game. It's one of his best spots that we've seen him in.
That was a little cutter. He didn't get the fastball, but he did hit the cutter into right center field. So speed aboard to lead it off. We'll take another look. Bauer tries to cut this ball inside. It stays over the middle of the plate. And a very nice way to open the first.
It's Yolmer Sanchez who's next. As the Sox got to Bauer in the 5th inning last time they saw him. Charlie Tilson with an RBI triple. Trace Thompson with a very nice bunt to get the 2nd run on the board. That was Covey versus Bauer back on the 13th 5 days ago when Dylan Covey got the better of Trevor Bauer. But Yolmer Sanchez is the one guy in this lineup who has had the most trouble with Trevor Bauer career. He's just 1 for 22 against him all time.
Against him in Chicago, he struck out 3 times, drew a base on ball, so it was a day of no contact for Yolmer.
Talking to Yolmer before the game, he said the hallmark of Trevor Bauer, at least for him, for what he's seen in his career, is an early curveball, which has been the MO for Bauer the last couple of years.
It's not easy to get that curveball over the plate in the first couple of innings, but Bauer certainly was able to do it in Chicago, and you'd expect with the humidity here tonight and a little more moisture in the air, be real easy to throw a curveball early in this one. And he's got a dandy when he gets it near the plate. That's a change that Perez wanted. Bauer shook it off, so it'll be interesting to see as he shook 4 different signs off from Perez.
Does that mean he's got something in mind that he really wants to throw?
It's either a different pitch or a location. It looks to me like he's going to try to cut it inside.
And he missed down and in. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's what Bauer threw in that last start when he went 7 2/3. Mostly fastball, curveball.
And the cutter, 18 of them. So Perez looking over in the dugout to see if they might have a suggestion or two. I think that's throw to first base. We'll see what the Indians use.
It is. So for people playing at home, they're going to be battery mates with their brother or sister. What's the signal for throwing to first?
Well, it used to be the signal to buzz them inside, and that is the thumb. Just on the hand you put down, which is the right hand. Putting up your thumb is the throw to first base now. It used to be throwing under his chin, but those days are done.
1-2. That's foul at first. Now, instead of buzzing people inside, we have arguments over spin rate and possibly doctoring the ball.
Well, Bauer has good spin rate on the curveball. As far as doctoring the ball, he thinks that a few folks in Houston might be tightening it up by using clear pine tar, but that's a matter of conjecture. Houston pitching staff is awfully good regardless. As you look into Perez, who's looking for some help, he'll look over before every pitch. That's a change.
Long hole, Bakata runs. Strike three, throw to second. Knocks him down.
Strike him out, throw him out as Yuan slid by the bag, and if he wasn't out on the first pass, he was certainly out when he couldn't hold the bag at second base. So Perez makes a good throw that's usually reserved for Gomes. Perez historically has thrown the ball very well. This year, a bit of an exception to that. And there it is. We'll watch it again. He's got it before the hands get there, and so doesn't matter. He is out. Strike him out, throw him out, and 2 outs quickly.
Just the second time Okada has been caught stealing here in 2018, and now Abreu takes a strike. Sox have been passed by Washington now for the stolen base lead in Major League Baseball. Nationals with 59 coming in. Sox with 57. One and one on Jose Abreu, who's got 26 doubles and is well on pace to break the Sox single season record for 2 base hits, as this is a single to left with 2 out.
Got a high fastball, middle in, and took it into left field. So the inning rolls along. 2 hits in the inning. 2 outs and a man to first as Jose almost trips over the bat.
Here's Daniel Polka, who's 4 for his last 9. Batting average steady around 250.
Kipnis can hardly get any deeper at second base. He's playing a short right field now.
That's a stretch of the term to even call that second base at this point.
That's as deep as you'll see a second baseman. But he figures the combination of Polka not being a speed burner and the fact that he hits the ball as hard as anybody in the game, he needs to be back.
Just giving himself an opportunity to field something that might go through him. He's playing the regular second base position.
For Alonso, he doesn't get that luxury. He's 90 feet away, right on top of the bag, holding Abreu close.
One and two on Polka, who struck out all 3 times he saw Bauer 5 days ago.
Bauer knows he can pretty much get him with the curveball. The only thing that Daniel has to hope is he hangs one or rolls one.
Ball and 2 strikes. That was a sharp breaking ball in the dirt. 2-2.
Nice stop by Perez, and the appeal to third base, and Ted Barrett, the crew chief, says nope, he did not swing.
It's kind of a morphing breaking ball, right? You get the curveball that's sharp sometimes, slower other times. He's got the slider as well.
As long as he gets good rotation, you can actually throw a slow curveball that has that kind of bite to it. But when he throws it harder, and for him harder is 77, 78, when he's throwing it right, you cannot hit it. You might well go up with a canoe paddle because you got no chance.
Be an interesting strategy.
Well, you get some coverage, but it's hard to get it through the strike zone.
2 balls and 2 strikes. He got him swinging, slider inside. 2 strikeouts for Bauer, 2 hits for the Sox. Dylan Covey after this. Brought to you by the Webb Auto Group for the Cleveland Indians. Lindor in his last 8 with 5 multi-hit games, including a 3-hit game. Brantley has been really dangerous against the Sox. And Rajay Davis, a rare start in center field.
Defensive setup for the Sox presented by UI Health, and this is how Ricky Renteria is going to put them out there tonight. It's Charlie, Adam, and Daniel left to right with Yolmer, Tim, Yohan, and Jose in the infield. Kevin Smith gets a nod behind the plate, and our Lexus Experience Amazing starting pitcher is Dylan Covey. He's yet to give up a home run this year, which is somewhat surprising because he's gone to the mound 35 1/3 innings. It will be put to the test tonight because it's very lively around the ballpark with all this heat and humidity.
And the other component is Cleveland just saw him. I mean, 5 days ago.
And normally you've got to make some sort of an adjustment because the hitter knows exactly how you're going to try to get him out in key situations, and the pitcher is going to have to adjust. The hitter won't.
Tim Anderson, or out number 1. So here's what Dylan Covey flashed to Cleveland last time. This will be his 3rd start against the Indians. Last time was at guaranteed rate field, 7 innings, 10 hits, a boatload of sinkers.
When you've got a good sinker, you don't really have to vary too much, and that's what he depends on. He also can throw it up there 93, 4 or 5 miles an hour, depending on how he's feeling on a given night. But the fact remains that it's sinking anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, and when that happens, the hitter is consistently getting on top of the ball, and the fact that he got a ground ball on the first pitch is a good sign.
You know, Ricky Renteria was talking before the game about Dylan Covey and what's different, and his argument is that the stuff is fairly similar to last year. It's just the confidence, but he's throwing so many more sinkers. The sinker may be the same pitch, but he's utilizing it a lot more.
Yeah, I'm not sure the stuff is the same. First of all, it's harder than it was last year. It's moving more than it did last year, both sinking and moving away from the left-hander into the righty. So, I mean, Ricky realizes he got a good arm, and he's right. The confidence is skyrocketing this year, but that's a product of success. So it's a chicken and egg theory. You got to have the confidence to be successful, but to be successful, you have to have confidence. Covey is blending the two at this point and turning it into a banner season.
It would have been very easy. I think it's important to think about that. It would have been very easy for Dylan Covey, considering all of the young talent in the Sox farm system and the fact that Carson Fulmer was in the starting rotation, to think that he had been bypassed. And instead he went down to AAA and worked on his stuff extremely hard and came back a different pitcher and changed his fortune. Up the middle, Tim tried to play the short hop, and Brantley is at first.
That went right back at Covey, and anytime you play the ball off to the side, anytime, there's no margin for error. We'll take a look at it. Tim is in perfect position, and this one going there, you got some time to get in front, but when you play it off to the side, if it doesn't stick in your glove, you're not going to make the play. So that one caroms into center field, and Bradley, who has been outstanding this year, is on base.
He is 11 for 26 against the Sox now, so Brantley continues to demolish the ball in this season series. And now Ramirez. Ball and a strike from Kobe, who has a June ERA of exactly 1 as this game starts.
Pretty amazing overall when you look at the ERA and everything that goes with it. It's 2.29 for the season, and yet against divisional foes he's really struggled. Division foes hitting .314 against him coming in, and 1 for 2 tonight.
There's a strike, 1-2 on Ramirez. Part of that was the 10-hit effort for the Indians against Kobe, and you look at Ramirez with the 21 home runs. He is just 2 back of Mike Trout. Already, Mike Trout, by the way, is the all-time WAR leader for the Angels.
Not surprising, although they've had some very good players over the years. By the time Pujols got there, he was very good, but not consistently as good as he was in St. Louis.
Opposite way, Charlie Tilson land for out number 2. Let's show you what you're going to see on tonight's telecast. Other than 27 outs of White Sox baseball and 27 outs of Indians baseball. One thing with Ricky, we talk about playing the same team 3 times within the span of just a couple of weeks. Top 100 prospects according to MLB Pipeline, the visual edition, and then the White Sox Farm Report, and the most interesting team in the minors, the Winston-Salem Dash, spotlighted. That's all coming up later, along with Ricky's guys here in Cleveland. Here's Edwin Encarnacion. Runners off. And now Brantley's going to have to go back on the foul ball.
Dylan depends on that sinker, and early the sinker will not be sinking as much as it will later on. There's been 2 balls hit, 1 on a line drive, 1 on a fly ball, that shows that the sinker isn't quite where Dylan wants it yet. And yet, course of this season, 2/3 of the time on his sinker they pounded into the ground, which is not surprising. His has been better than most in the early going.
You can measure everything nowadays. You can go online and find the horizontal and vertical movement of that sinker, and the physics bears it out. Dylan Kobe's stuff has been explosive this year.
Far superior to any time we've ever seen it. So regardless of what it is, you can't really overthink it. You just go with it. When you're going well, you have a tendency to just take every day as it comes. You don't get too analytical about what you're doing. Just knowing that that sinker is as good as anybody in baseball right now.
1-2 on Encarnacion. 35-year-old designated hitter who's just 2 for his last 23.
He's a dead pull hitter, and you keep that sinker away, you're going to get that ground ball to the left side. Nobody home on the right side.
Downstairs, 2 balls and 2 strikes. That one came out at 95. Former first-round pick Dylan Kobe. A quiet, reserved guy who has let his arm do the speaking so far in 2018. Brantley's off, check swing, throw is into center field, and Brantley is into third. It's a stolen base E2 combo.
Kevin tried to throw from one knee, and with the speed of Brantley and the position of that pitch, it becomes very difficult. So he sails it into center field, and Brantley on his way to third. No chance at all at second to get him. No chance to get the throw. Tough throw to be made. And
so,
4th stolen base only.
It's 3-2 pitch, matters big time, and it is just low. Ball 4. First and third, 2 out. This Cleveland offense has been very dangerous this year with the 4th best slugging percentage in Major League Baseball. They're top 10 in batting average as well. And a great deal of that comes from the top 6 in the order.
This is a tough matchup for Dillon only because Alonso is a dead low ball hitter.
Alonso to right field, and that will do it. He goes after the first pitch, and Kobe navigates through trouble. June 23rd, 1:10 p.m. First 20,000 fans get a White Sox cap presented by CIBC, banking that fits your life. Get your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. And we'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on Viola Communications in Viola, Illinois.
What a funny name for the communications company. How do you think they dug that up?
Well, it was Obo, Illinois, but then the orchestra changed patterns. There's ball 1 to Kevin Smith. That's as good of an answer as you're going to get, I think.
Thanks.
So Kevin Smith, dating back to last year, has a hit streak of 12 straight games. As this will not continue it, he'll have to do some more work later on. Rajay Davis in center.
Bauer out of UCLA and highly thought of. In fact, so highly thought of that he was a first-round pick of the Diamondbacks, 3rd player chosen overall. That was in the June draft of 2011. And the next year, acquired by the Indians in a trade that many people changed places. And a few notables in that deal. Brian Shaw. Tony Sipp was in that deal. Shin-Soo Choo was in that deal. Didi Gregorius was in that deal. As Cleveland, the Diamondbacks, and Cincinnati hooked up in that 3-way trade that made everybody a little bit better. And now Gregorius is starring for the Yankees.
How about that star turn, huh? Did you see it coming?
Gregorius?
Yeah.
I always knew he was a good defender. Didn't know he could hit for power, but he can do some of that. And at a time when he was hitting cleanup for the Yankees, those days are gone, but still, I mean, it's remarkable, and he gives them a left-handed presence in the middle of all those huge right-handers.
Ball and 2 strikes on Davidson, who yesterday hit his first home run since May the 13th. Only the shadow knows in the Sox dugout right now.
Not a great time to hit with Bauer in sunshine. And the hitter immersed in the shadows. Trace Thompson needing some eye black if you're going to watch from the Sox dugout.
3 balls, 2 strikes from Bauer to Davidson. But the heat like it is, long innings take a little bit more of a toll today. Cue shot, fair ball, first base side. Davidson guns it for second. Chisenhall struggles with the ball. Davidson didn't realize it at first, and so Matt stays at second.
Well, you've got a couple of different choices there, and Matt didn't really pick up any of them. But ideally, what has to happen is you take a look at right field. And then when you have your back to right field, then you have to pick up Nick Capra, the third base coach. If he was picking him up, Nick was probably waving him on. So this part was good. He sees the play in front of him. Now, he truly believes that Chisenhall's going to make the play. But when you can't see him any longer, when you're heading towards second base, that's when you have to look to third. And Matt had a number of times right here, he never looks to third base. Had he looked to third at all, instead of now back there when he's standing at the bag, he'd be on third base with 1 out.
Instead, it's a double, and Anderson takes over his head.
Those are really the little things in baseball, because it's a game of nuance, and it's a game where you have to take advantage of everything the opposition gives you. And right there, they gave you another 90 feet, which means a fly ball now does not score, Matt.
Well, you changed Tim Anderson's at bat completely.
Well, he's going to hit most likely with the infield in at all 4 positions, and now they're back.
As the next hitter, you love those free RBI chances too. "90 degrees and sunny here in Cleveland." It's supposed to cool off maybe by about 15-20 degrees tomorrow.
Going to be in the mid to low 70s.
Fastball up at 95. "24-year-old from Tuscaloosa, Tim Anderson." Foul of third. We saw the Father's Day messages from some of the Sox kids in the pregame show yesterday, and Tim Anderson's family was special in that his was the only pet that got a little airtime. Teddy B, his dog, was sitting there with his lovely daughter. Tim said they need to get Teddy an Instagram so he could get some followers off his newfound stardom.
The only thing better than a little pet is a large one.
Words to live by. Strike 3, 2 down.
You enjoy a Miller Lite. Look forward to the whole true moment later in tonight's game. That a big strikeout for Bauer.
And Charlie Tilson comes up, who has hit well against Cleveland this year at 9 for 16 as Jose Abreu decides to spray Yolmer. It's kind of backward from what you'd expect, although Yolmer with a water bottle, a spray bottle, is positively scary.
Yeah, all he needs is one of those honking horns. Get him one of those between innings.
You're saying he's basically Chuckles the Clown.
He's pretty close to it. Yeah. But he has a good time playing the game, and it's a long, long year. So they keep it lively, they keep it fun, and they try as hard as they can. It's just a team that's outmanned in many circumstances.
You know, it's interesting. We just saw Yolmer and Jose together, and Ricky Renteria has said very similar things about both of them, that he'd like to get them 2 or 3 days off simply because of how hard they work when they do play, that there's some extra added energy expended, and there he's expending some energy with Yoan Moncada's face. Huh. Find someone who looks at you like Yolmer looks at Yoan, as they say. Two strikes to Charlie Tilson. Check swing, he went. 4 strikeouts for Bauer. Davidson remains at second, and Yolmer remains hilarious.
Who's with the team through thick and thin and never misses a game. If you have what it takes, enter the NBCSportsChicago.com/White Sox AF.
Love the authentic fan.
There's been 2 of them, and they both really enjoyed the experience.
Lonnie Chisenhall, who was worn number 8 for years, grew up in North Carolina, but he was a huge Cal Ripken Jr. fan as a kid, as so many were.
He's yet to hit a home run, but he's swinging so well that you would have to believe that it's going to come in the not too distant future. Hopefully not tonight.
On the ground and through. 5 for 9 against the Sox. He's 19 for 54 this year.
Chisenhall, a former #1 draft pick. And so far the sinker is not sinking quite as well as Dylan Covey would like. That ball was waist high, driven through the shift, and Chisenhall's aboard.
All right, so how do you make it sink more if you're feeling that?
You need some fatigue. He's probably feeling real strong tonight, and so far the ball is staying up. So the adjustment you have to make is going to come with the amount of pitches he throws. Maybe sometimes you want to hold it more off center than he would normally, or squeeze it a little tighter. I don't know yet, Jason, if he has the finesse to be able to do what Greg Maddux did, which was move the ball up and back in his hand. The farther back in your hand you throw it, the slower the ball goes and the more it moves. The further out on your finger, the faster it goes and the less it moves.
Well, when Dylan Covey's been good, he has been one of the top 5 guys in Major League Baseball in terms of starting pitchers getting ground balls, and at over 60%, that is a nice track record. But you mentioned it, adjustment is the key on a day like today to get back there.
Well, it is also, and when you face a team over a very short period of time, the pitcher has to adjust because the hitters have a pretty good idea what he's going to throw.
So you're saying as Greg Maddux moved that ball in his hand, how many release points did he have?
It wasn't release point as much as it was grips. And it's the feeling that you get when you want to change speeds. You want to throw the same pitch, but you want to make it 3 pitches. So you have a 2-seam fastball, but you throw it at 3 different velocities and 3 different movement levels, where with a wipeout, you want to make it move a little bit more, throw it a little slower. And that, again, that comes with experience. Maddox didn't do it when he first came to the league. His first year, he was 6-14. He couldn't make the ball. His ball kept drifting against left-handers. The ball would drift back over the plate. Now we see it a lot where pitchers throw it at the right hip of the left-hand hitter. It comes back over the plate. Maddox didn't have anything to throw inside to the left-handers, and so they torched him. Then he came up with his cutter, and he was able to get the ball into the lefties.
On the ground up the middle, Moncada was looking at 2 and didn't get any.
That is E4. So Dillon got the ground ball he wanted, but unfortunately, it's an extra out in the inning.
Two on, nobody out for Jason Kipnis. Play starts to get louder. The walls come a little bit closer. And Kipnis lays down a bunt, third base side. Kobe decided to white flag it, and everybody's safe. He left it for Sanchez, who didn't have a play.
Tough play for Yolmer because he's being screened by Kobe, and I'm not sure why Dillon decided to let it go through his legs, but Sanchez can't possibly see the ball when you have that kind of screen, essentially, and that's what it was. So I think Dillon thought perhaps it'd be a tougher play for him to make, but right where you let it go through your legs, Yolmer had zero chance. He couldn't see it.
Well, not only couldn't he see it, but he had already decided that he wasn't going to play the ball.
Yeah, and if you're not going to play it, then don't run through the ball. But bases loaded. The one clean hit was Chisenhall, and now Dylan Covey in a jam. So Ricky probably had a thought, and that thought probably went like this: come home if you're at the corner, but use second to first if you're in the middle infield. So Abreu and Sanchez will come home for the home to first double play. Guys in the middle will go the conventional double play if in fact you can get the ground ball hit to one of the infielders.
Ball one, and this is becoming strikingly similar to Dylan Covey's first start in this building. That was the end of May. It was Memorial Day, and Covey in his final inning, the 5th inning, had 2 errors happen around him in that inning.
Extra outs to quality ball clubs turn into runs and losses.
Two balls and no strikes. Chisenhall, Davis, and Kipnis. Best speed is at second with Rajay Davis. Two and 0. Line to right field toward the corner, and that ball is hit into the fence where it stays. So the Indians will get 2. That fan will try to pry out the souvenir. Palka throws up his hands, and the Indians take the lead.
Perez has always been exceptional against our Sox for whatever reason. It's hard to believe, but despite a 136 batting average, he has torched the Sox. Takes that ball to right field, and it just disappears between the fence and the padding. That goes for an automatic 2-base hit. And not much you can do with that one. RBIs 5 and 6 for Perez.
So now the hot-hitting Francisco Lindor, who pumps one into left center field, and Charlie Tilson is there. Kipnis tags from third, and he scores. The Indians have their 3rd run.
.38 driven in by Lindor on the sacrifice fly.
By the way, the ball extraction posse still has not done much in the right field side.
How about the jaws of life?
That may get called out at the end of this bottom of the second inning. In a ballpark where they had a squirrel run around for 10 minutes or so last year on the field, I don't know that that ball's going anywhere anytime soon, as Brantley hits it into right center and Engel is underneath. Perez tags from second and he is there. It was closer than the fans here expected. 2 down.
Nice throw by Adam Engel, and that one on the money at third base, and had Perez not been hustling to third, he would have been thrown out. Mike Sarbaugh, the coach at third, talking with his lumbering catcher.
Two out for Jose Ramirez. And time called. They're going to intentionally walk Ramirez. So the Sox, who got burned by Ramirez back at Guaranteed Rate Field, decided to pitch to him. He hit a 2-run homer. Decide to go ahead with Encarnacion. And that effort to take a souvenir home, really, honestly, if you get that out, you're going to have earned it.
Well, even if he does get it out, it's going to roll back on the field. So,
but there's a technique there, right? Anybody who's played in the backyard or had the ball go into the neighbor's yard, you reach down and you kind of, with one finger, you pop it up just a little bit, and then you take your other hand and go underneath and you pop it up, and you constantly get it a little more air. And then you end up sending it at some point with one big vault over the wall.
To the first row of the stands where you're not sitting? Yes, that would be a nice plan. Not for you, but for somebody else.
I bet they'd end up with the ball. 0-1 on Encarnacion. Grounded foul. See, that's exactly how you do it. You pass it along from hand to hand.
What they're discussing now is how to get it back into where they are sitting.
We got to get it further up, right? So you, like 8 more honeycombs, or that's a taller wall than I thought. Yeah, this is going to be innings worth of drama, though. 0-2. So by StatCast, here's the double that's stuck into the wall. 21 degrees and then stuck. You get a jump ball in basketball out of that. You get a double in baseball. No throw through. Ramirez steals the bag. Talk about extra pitches in an inning. Dylan Covey has had to run through a bunch to this, the 8th batter.
For Ramirez, 9th stolen base of the year. Indians has been very good at that. 45 steals, been gunned down just 12 times.
It's a good manager right there.
That's a great manager there. Undoubtedly going to go to the Hall of Fame as a manager. Was a pretty decent player.
There's strike 3. Encarnacion wipes out. And inch by inch, the possibility of taking home a Major League Baseball continues to grow. of will that guy get a ball to take home? The answer is they got help.
Exactly right. And then they said, okay, move along, guys. One souvenir per group. Now you move out and we'll move some others in.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? They kicked him out?
Yeah, it's a rotating thing. Anytime the attendant out there has to come on the field to throw you the baseball, you have to leave. Give up your position to another group.
It's like Jan Brady's on the Brady Bunch. One out, one in. There's a strike.
Yeah, my dad told me it was a good series.
Wait, is that an old joke toward me? 0-1 to Angle. Settle down there, Tiger.
It's early yet.
Ball and a strike to Adam. 3-0 Cleveland. Trevor Bauer staked to the lead. Talking to Adam Engel before the game, he said, look, if you get a fastball in the zone on 0-0 or 1-0 against Trevor Bauer, that's pretty much the only strike fastball you're going to see.
Well, you might see another fastball, but it'll be up and out of the zone, tantalizing, but you can't hit it like that one up there. And that's the one thing that Adam has carried with him through this renaissance of hitting, because he's a whole lot better than he was last year. But he can't lay off that face high fastball, and with the velocity of Bauer, you can't catch up to it upstairs.
Breaking ball missed the edge. 3-2.
That was his cutter and did not get it there, despite the best efforts of Perez.
Right field side, foul territory. And no play for Yonder Alonso, who was just activated today. That's the easy way to get a souvenir, by the way. You just catch it.
A lot easier than moving it up the fence. Not a whole lot of room here in Cleveland in foul territory, so hitters certainly enjoy hitting here.
Yonder Alonso. Round number 1. Sox fans, join us as the White Sox take on the Oakland Athletics. It's Thursday, June 21st. That's coming up 7:10 p.m. First 10,000 fans get a free White Sox themed T-shirt presented by the Regional Transportation Authority. Get your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-KEEN. One down for Yoan Moncada. 25 years already. The former Jacobs Field, now Progressive Field here in Cleveland. And anytime the Sox are here, you can't help but think about that great race that was going to be in 1994. Looked like it might be Sox and Expos in the World Series. Cleveland had a very good team. The Sox had maybe the best team in baseball at the time.
The Expos were loaded. It would have been a great World Series, as we know. Didn't happen. And Montreal never really recovered from that. We'll see if they get another shot at it.
You think they will?
I do. I think when they look at possible expansion venues, that would be one of them. Because I think it could be a good baseball town. It actually was, and then the strike turned a lot of people off, and it just went away. It grew less and less. The facility wasn't particularly good. Would take a brand new ballpark, which is a lot of expenditure, however.
Moncada takes ball 4. He has been on twice in the game, and Sanchez comes up. I don't know. Olympic Stadium looked so charming to me as a kid on TV.
It did until you played there, and the seams of the surface were just awful.
What do you mean?
I mean, the turf itself was horrible, and the seams in it made for terrible hops. Plus, from a broadcast standpoint, forget about playing on it because it deteriorated a lot of knees and hips, but you couldn't really pick up the baseball. It was light. It was not a real good turf, not a good playing surface there.
You couldn't see the ball off the turf?
No, you'd lose track of the ball off the turf.
Somebody needs to tell the national writer Jonah Carey, because Jonah, of anybody I think covering baseball nowadays, has this grand love for the Montreal Expos, and he was part of the reason that Tim Raines ended up getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. He was stumping for years for Rock to get into the Hall of Fame.
He deserves it. I mean, he was a magnificent player.
Alonso to second. Return pass is there. Double play for Trevor Bauer and the Cleveland Indians, who have the lead at 3-0. Ricky, how does your scouting report change after just a week away from the team you're playing, if at all?
Not much, actually. You know, we just probably watch a little video, which we did today, just to make sure that we're seeing the same guys that we saw, 5 days ago, whatever the case might be. Just try to put together a good plan again and attack it and start anew.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, that was easy. It doesn't change much.
Scouting report is the same. Hitters' tendencies are hitters' tendencies. The only difference is, the only difficulty is for the starting pitcher, especially a young starting pitcher, facing a team twice in a week. Because he's got to make an adjustment as far as everybody else. They're going to go about their business exactly the way they have before.
So the scouting report remains the same, but the pitcher, it's incumbent upon him to make changes.
Well, he probably should, because there were key situations in the game where he faced the Indians back in Chicago where he went to the pitch that the scouting report said is a soft spot. Well, the hitter then knows that in a key situation, this is how Dylan Covey's going to go to get him out. It's not quite as drastic with a guy that depends on a sinker as much as Covey does, but a normal pitcher who uses a 4-pitch mix, he's got to make the adjustment.
3 balls and no strikes on Lonnie Chisenhall, who now has a hit in 5 straight. And this Indians team gets better offensively when he's in the lineup. Greg Allen sent back to AAA with Alonso being activated today. 3-0 swing slash foul.
Nobody uses a 3-0 offense more than Terry Francona. When his difference-making hitters get to 3-0, almost without a doubt, they're going to be swinging. You got to be aware of it.
Ball 4, so the 3rd walk for the Indians, 1 intentional. And Rajay Davis bats.
Don Cooper making his pitching charts. He's keeping track of every pitch, the location of every pitch, and how many pitches Dylan Covey makes.
Coop's an office supply store there. He's got his pen, he's got his stopwatch, he's got his legal pad, his binder.
You got everything you need to get through one performance.
Tipped foul by Rajay Davis, who reached on an error and scored in that 3-run second inning. Cleveland right now is 2.5 games up on Detroit for first place in the American League Central, and that Tigers team has its record as it stands in large part because of its success against the Sox this year.
Every year you have one club that you dominate, and this year it's the Tigers dominating our Sox. They've won 5 in a row. Gotten themselves very close to the Tribe, and the Indians, if they ever figure out that bullpen, they're going to run away from this division. But so far they're no closer than they were until Andrew Miller comes back, and there you look at the standings with the Tigers 2.5 back, 4 back in the loss column, as are the Twins.
Thanks to those of you joining us while waiting out a rain delay. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, our entire crew here on NBC Sports Chicago. And what you missed is the Indians scoring 3 runs in the second inning, 4 reached in a row to start the inning, and Roberto Perez with a 2-run double. That was the big blow. Came just in time to see Rajay Davis. Anderson gives some ground and gets out number 2. Because if our audience joining us wanted to see one guy, it was Rajay Davis.
I'm sure they're very excited to see him keep the ball in the infield, actually.
2 down for Kipnis.
Jason Kipnis bunted his way on last inning. Got that batting average above 200. Trying to figure out what went right for him a couple of years ago. He's had some injuries since then. He's always been a very good player.
His best asset this year, while the batting average is down, his eye is still there. He's walked 26 times. And the shift is on. Wakana not as far back on his counterpart as Kipnis was on Polka. As that ball gets away, and the Indians will get another base, but Davis didn't really know how close that was going to be.
No, he's a lot faster than that. For some reason, he was slowing down and decided not to slide at second. Maybe he thought he was going to make it without a play, but he got in an eyelash ahead of the throw. This ball gets away, and it's a catch that Jose should have made but didn't, and Davis kind of tiptoeing into second base. I think he was worried about catching one in the back of the head. It does go E1, although I would think they might change that.
There's ball number 1 on Kipnis. So that's now 3 errors in the game through 2 2/3. For a Sox defense that, when Cleveland was in town less than a week ago, part of the reason the Sox got one of those 2 wins was sterling defense on double plays.
Kipnis trying to harken back to 2015, where he hit .303 that year in 141 games. Then 2016, hit 23 home runs, drove in 82. That was his best power year by far.
Quick tag and just back.
If that throws on the third base side of second, they got him. As Davis straying off second base, it was a good move. The throw in the wrong spot to get him out. Watch it again. Anderson goes to the bag. This is good, but too long a distance for the tag. Throws on the first base side of second. Otherwise, he's out dead to rights. But in the time it took to tag him on the elbow, the hand got in.
Steve, how many outs are on the first base side of second?
On that throw, none.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of outs from the catcher on the first base side of second. No outs on the third base side.
2 balls and a strike on Kipnis.
Kipnis out of Northbrook, Illinois.
Downstairs, 3-1. There's the catcher Perez on deck. Kipnis, the former All-State outfielder in high school. On the ground and through, base hit to right. Polka, and it's 4-0.
'26 driven in by Jason Kipnis. Something about playing against a team from his former city brings out the best in him as he looks at a 3-1 fastball, and the sinker is not sinking quite as much as Dylan would like it here tonight. The Indians taking advantage of it. But obviously giving them extra outs in an inning against a quality team will do you in.
And it's both at the same time, right? You get the error that gives them an extra 90 feet that puts the runner in scoring position, and then also if that throw is perfectly accurate to second base, you probably have picked off Rajai Davis. Two strikes from Covey. Very close, didn't get the call. 1-2.
Kipnis in 2012, 2013 could steal a lot of bags, 31 of 30 in 2 consecutive years. But this incarnation of Jason Kipnis, not quite as fast. However, in this situation, you certainly don't want to lead off with Perez. So Kipnis most likely not going to run. If you get Roberto out, then you lead off with Lindor. If you're Terry Francona, that's probably a better proposition for you.
Very close. 2-2. And look, we told you at the beginning of our telecast tonight that the top 6 are the really dangerous ones in this order. And lo and behold, 6, 7, and 8 have scored the 4 runs so far. So,
Major League uniform. You get the opportunity, and some nights it's going to be the bottom part.
I know the error in this inning was his own for Covey, but there has been a trend of errors being committed in his starts. It's now 10 errors in 7 starts this season. So of the Sox pitchers, Covey has had to pitch around trouble. It seems like more per capita than anybody.
Even if it doesn't score a run in that given inning, it adds to the pitch count and you go shorter.
Testing that low part of the zone. 3-2. Kipnis will go now on 3 balls and 2 strikes. And it misses. Ball 4.
Don Cooper coming out. Dylan Covey's had good control this year. With 4 walks tonight, although one of them was of the intentional variety. He only had 11 in 6 starts coming into this outing. So the control had been very good. Tonight hasn't quite had the release point, and the sinker is not sinking quite as well as it has been in recent starts. So this is a battle.
Yeah, 4 walks in his last 3 starts combined, so that's 18 innings against Milwaukee, Boston, and this Cleveland team. Lindor, the batter. He's gone up very aggressively tonight against Kobe. He's seen 3 pitches in 2 trips to the plate combined.
Young, talented shortstop. Just one of the many switch hitters on this team. They sent Allen down, so that takes 1 switch hitter out of the lineup. Lindor, a much better hitter from the right side with much more power from the left side.
Mentioned the roster moves for Cleveland. Among them was Melky Cabrera electing free agency. So Melky is out there looking for a team to latch on with, and you'd imagine somebody will decide to utilize his services. Going 2.
Indians have had their share of injuries this year, but the big one is Miller. If they get Miller back and he's healthy out of that bullpen, it takes a minus for them now. And Andrew Miller, one of the dominant left-handed relievers in the game. Although this year with the knee problem, he's just not been the same, even when he's been healthy.
Well, they're down a lefty too in the bullpen. Tyler Olson went on the DL today with a lat strain, so they called up Evan Marshall again, who, when we last saw the Indians, had just been pulled off the 40-man roster. Looking for answers on the fly. Kipnis at second, Perez at first, and it hits him pretty hard.
I think that might be the first man that Dylan Covey has hit this year. It was. Does not get up a home run and has hit his first man of the season. So we'll take a look again, and that one, I think fortunately was not on the ankle bone. It was above the ankle. Not that it feels a whole lot better. It's just that you're not going to break anything where it hit him.
And if you're going to load the bases, this is a rather unpleasant gentleman to have to deal with rapping on your door, Michael Brantley. That steely glare in at Kobe. Brantley 11 for 27 against the Sox this year. Just been an absolute terror in this season series as he takes 2-0. And here's a look at where Brantley coming into tonight had hurt the Sox. So he's standing closest to the blue there. Pretty much away is where he's done his damage against the Sox this season. Also, don't throw it down the middle. As a public service. 2-0. Late decision, 2-1, as Hector Santiago starts to loosen up in the Sox bullpen. Hector, the long man.
Well, he's been injured quite a bit. 2016, pretty much for him, a lost year. Last year only played in 90 games, but he hit .299, and this year he's back to Michael Brantley.
He hits it well, right field. Polka is there. That may be a moment the Sox will certainly like to have late in the game. We'll see.
Ball when you watch a Sox AAA affiliate, the Charlotte Knights, take on the Toledo Mud Hens. Coverage begins at 6, so you can stream the game on the NBC Sports app.
Sox battery talking it over. Covey and Smith.
This is a battle for Dylan tonight. And consequently, when your pitcher battles, it's a battle for the catcher. And Don Cooper trying to figure out some of the magic. He's a little uncomfortable with the free outs. Given the Indians tonight, it's too good a team and too good of offense to give him more than 3 outs in an inning.
So when you're having a night like that, do you want more time on the bench with Dylan Covey? I mean, regardless of runs scored here, do you want some time to think it over, or do you want to get right back out there?
You want to get right back out there and see if you can find the answers yourself. And the catcher's your biggest ally if you're thinking along the same lines. Sometimes he can tell you a little something. Other times it's going to stay in there because it's going to get better for you. You hope that some plays are made and you hope to throw more strikes. But, you know, we saw it with Lopez against Pittsburgh twice in a week, and now we're seeing it with Covey against the Indians. For young pitchers, it's very difficult.
Why for young pitchers?
They don't have that backdrop of success against various teams to fall back on. And so this is probably, well, it certainly is the first time where he's faced a team in a week that's a quality offense. And if you don't have a history, it becomes more difficult. The hitters know what to do. They're mostly veteran hitters he's facing. But he doesn't have a history in the major leagues to dictate, okay, you do this in this situation.
So they're more aware of his nuances than he is of theirs.
Absolutely. Because that first time you face him, you're not thinking about the second time you're going to face him. So you're getting him out with the stuff that the scouting report says and how you feel on a given night.
Abreu elevates it to left, and Michael Brantley. Here's your Sox Math question for today. Hashtag Sox Math. First correct answer wins a prize from the road. It could be anything. Number of games the Sox and Indians play this month multiplied by games on this current road trip, plus years the Indians have played in this ballpark, minus the number of letters in the last name of the first Sox player to homer in the park. How about that?
A tricky one tonight.
No, he won yesterday. Tricky trips. 7:02. We script our ad-libs, ladies and gentlemen. There's a strike to Polka.
It's the best way to do it.
Who needs Del Close when you have comedic genius Steve Stone? 1-1 to Daniel. As the clouds start to build here a little bit with the humidity high, chance of thunderstorms in the air.
If they do come through, they will be brief.
You like pitching in the heat?
I do. I always love high humidity because being a breaking ball pitcher, it makes a breaking ball work better. More humidity in the air, more moisture in the air, more to grab the seams, the better the ball breaks.
So the Arizona situation, when we're in spring training, you talk about how difficult it is to have a curveball in Arizona. That's because of the dry heat.
No humidity and not as much in the air to grab the seams to make it rotate.
Bauer, displaying the entire arsenal, has struck out 5 after 11 in his last start against the Sox.
He just has such a good cutter. When you look at his arsenal, it's just built to get you out consistently, and he's doing just that. He cuts this ball right in under the hands of Polka. To a hitter, it looks like a fastball until it gets there. Then you measure it because the hitter's eyes are like a computer. You know exactly how long it takes to get the bat out front, to hit the ball out front, to hit it on the sweet spot. Then, because the ball cuts, it moves in on your hands, and you've got no chance.
Talking to a couple Sox hitters, the word on Bauer as compared to the rest of the Indian starters is, with the motion, it's not a problem. You can see the ball out of the hand, but the sharp break is probably the best in this rotation, at least to Sox hitters, and one of the best they'll see this year. Of all the breaking pitches, not only the curveball.
Well, he's got more pitches than Kluber, but Kluber is much more consistent with his stuff. Kluber at this point is a much more accomplished pitcher.
Oh, sure. I just
and
break
consistent
only.
pitcher. Yeah, I mean, when you look at his stuff, though, Kluber has a pinpoint control. He's not going to use the middle of the plate very much. Bauer, because of his stuff, will use the middle of the plate more. And Bauer unhappy with himself because he tried to throw that curveball too hard, and the curveball is a rotation pitch as opposed to a velocity pitch. When you try to get too much velocity on it, more times than not, you're not going to rotate as quickly as possible. It's going to stay up.
Fastball, he guided it toward the corner and up for strike 3 and a 1-2-3 fourth for Trevor Bauer.
Off for heroes, because no matter where you serve or when you served, we stand ready to serve all military families.
Your 2018 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate, your trusted teammate throughout the mortgage process. Experience the difference today at rate.com. First pitch, a strike to Jose Ramirez. A very cheeky power hitter. He always looks like he's chewing on something at the plate.
This year he's chewing on fastballs because he's hitting them really hard.
Just like you hit lobs very hard.
Yeah.
It was a nice finish.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good, strong finish.
2-1. 70 pitches for Dylan Covey, and now 3 balls and a strike.
Dangerous spot to all hitters, but especially one of the guys on the leaderboard for home runs in baseball.
And that is ball 4. So Ramirez will take his base for the second straight time, as here is your Sox math answer for tonight. And your winner is Super Sox Fan 79. 7 games this month, 3 games on this trip. Very short one. 21 plus 25 years in this ballpark, 46. Minus 6, Frank Thomas, your color analyst from yesterday. The first Sox player to hit a homer in this ballpark, and it was Thursday, July 21st of 1994 off of El Presidente, Dennis Martinez. Sox played 2 games in this ballpark in April. Didn't hit a home run, and then later on in the year, with the Sox 21 over and the Indians 15 over, Sox won 6-5 on a 2-run 8th inning.
I think you're going to see Ramirez run in this sequence, not necessarily this pitch, but certainly soon, because Encarnacion is an inviting double play target. He's grounded into 7 of them. That's second on the ball club. That's behind Michael Brantley, who's surprisingly grounded into 8.
Likely reason for that is he's just putting the ball in play everywhere. He doesn't walk, he doesn't strike out. Brantley has been a ball in play machine in 2018.
Normally this is a good pitch to run on 0-2. That's a fastball away, which is a very good pitch to throw if Ramirez is running.
He is not. And the pitch grounded left side. Anderson backing up, goes to second, and they do get the first out. Encarnacion safe at first.
Very close play at second, but Tim bobbled it ever so slightly. He still got him at second base, however, although Ramirez thinks it's worth a look. Brad Mills is going to go to the phone. Terry Francona is going to hold it up. This ball into the hole, and retreating Anderson got to it just in time. It looked like they got him in real time. I mean, they got him by an eyelash, but they got him.
And no reason to challenge, although we've seen the Indians challenge early in a game already this year. That one did not provide enough evidence. And here is Yonder Alonso, who takes ball number 1. And the first pitch he's taken so far tonight. Alonso went on the family emergency list a couple of days ago. He's missed the last 3 games, and for that reason, Greg Allen stayed here with the major league team. He was sent down with the activation of Alonso as Anderson has to play it to Sanchez covering, and Yolmer turns the double play. The 6-5-3. Really nice to have a middle infielder playing third for that very reason. I don't know if you've heard, but strikeouts are up across Major League Baseball. It's just coming out that strikeouts are up this decade. The Indians are part of the reason for that. Most strikeouts by starting pitchers this month. 115 for Cleveland, including Bauer with 6 already tonight. It's a Rocket Mortgage breakdown.
Strikeouts are up.
Yeah, you've heard that?
Oh, I have.
Game times, too.
Yes.
Matt Davidson, Tim Anderson, Charlie Tilson as we present groundbreaking research on White Sox baseball. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. The one thing we were talking about, and we only discussed it briefly the other night, but there's, from Baseball Prospectus over the past week, they released an article and a new study that suggests that shifts actually have created, very slightly, but created more base runners. And part of the hypothesis is that pitchers are nibbling more because of the shift, or pitching toward the shift, or showing frustration because of the shift, like our friend Jake Arrieta in Philadelphia. What do you think?
Well, since he complained about the shift, he hasn't gotten anybody out, so I don't think I'd complain about the shift. Just move guys in a different spot. It could very well be that's the case. If a pitcher changes his approach to a hitter because of the shift, he's defeating the purpose. You just got to go and get him out to the best of your ability. But shift is a a one-size-fits-all situation for a hitter. If a guy most likely is going to pull just about everything, well, you shift that way. But there are certain pitchers where it might not apply quite as much. And there's also pitchers who like to pitch hitters a certain way, and if you get them out that way, then you have to adjust the shift.
Strike 3 to Davidson. 7th punch out for Bauer.
Bauer's given up 3 hits, 1 extra base hit to Matt Davidson. That is squibber up the first base side, but the stuff has been very good, much better than when we faced him in Chicago a short time ago.
There could be a situation where we were talking about it earlier that Trevor Bauer has had a little bit of a tete-a-tete with the Astros this year because of their spin rate and whatnot. A.J. Hinch, the manager of the American League All-Star team.
Pretty close to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have that situation possibly arising where A.J. Hinch would have to decide on Trevor Bauer being one of his pitchers.
I don't think that's going to be a problem.
You don't?
No. I believe that if in fact through consultation and everything else, if they believe that even with a close to 500 record, which Bauer will have at the All-Star break, you're looking at all the other aspects of his year and saying, I think he's an all-star. Look at his ERA, look at his strikeouts for 9 innings and walks, and I don't think A.J. Hinch makes that call in a vacuum. I think he has a lot of help to make that call, but the Indians are going to have no shortage of all-stars, as are his Astros.
To third, and Ramirez on the run. And nifty play for out number 2. Join us for a post-game screening of the Sandlot at Guaranteed Rate Field Saturday, June 23rd, after the Sox take on the Oakland Athletics. All fans in attendance are welcome to stick around after the game and watch the movie as it plays on the center field video board. Visit whitesox.com/promos to get your tickets right now. It'll be a fun day at the ballpark.
It should be. Good movie, good company, and some Sox fans here in Cleveland. Very short trip.
We've seen good representation for the Sox on the road this year.
Yes, we have.
Charlie Tilson has some family in the area. Went to what he called breakfast at noon today with a cousin and some family members. Don't think breakfast extends till noon, but we can debate that with Charlie. He's played well since coming up from AAA, don't you think?
I think he's played defense very well, and I think he gets the bat on the ball and uses his speed. So that part of it's been good. He's got Ramirez in at the cut of the grass at third with the thought of a bunt, but I don't think he's shown anything close to a bunt.
To first, and Alonso can't handle it. Charlie Tilson safe.
That is E3 again. Played off to the side, no margin for error, and Alonso did just that, and it cost him just his 5th error of the year. When he turns his body to the side, that's a mistake, because you get one bobble at first base. If he gets in front of that, which he could have, that ball drops to his feet and he's able to make the play to Bauer. As it was, he keeps the inning alive, and he realizes that's his mistake.
Here's Adam Engel. Who takes a strike. If you sense that it's getting darker at the ballpark, it is, not only because night is coming, but also because it looks as though Canada's major export to us at this point is thunderstorms. For tonight, they're coming from the northwest and flying south and east.
We're going to be okay.
Wow.
Yep.
You feel it in your knee or what?
It's the plate in my head that's vibrating.
I forgot it's Monday. Ball and a strike on Engel.
Wind is picking up a touch that's blowing out toward the right field corner.
to right field, and Lonnie Chisenhall for the final out of this top 5. Sox still trailing in Cleveland. Get live team stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. You saw the weather building here in Cleveland. Lonnie Chisenhall at the plate, and an oddity in baseball today, the suspended game with the Yankees and the Nationals completing one game and then playing a second one. And there are some quirks that come along with the suspended game. How many of those did you ever play in? Any?
None that I remember. Could have been 20, but I just don't remember.
Okay. Yeah. It is possible by rule that you could play for both teams in a suspended game. So say Tyler Austin gets traded from the Yankees to the Nationals in between. As Angle drifts with this ball for route number 1, as long as he wasn't taken out of the game, substituted for at some point, he could then play for Washington when the game resumes, as long as he is on the roster with Washington.
So let's assume that they traded Harper to the Yankees.
Yep.
Then he could play for both teams.
He could.
Did they trade him?
Nope.
Okay, there you go.
So you don't like hypotheticals at all?
Well,
how do you enjoy baseball?
Oh, no,
is my question to you.
I love baseball. It's literal.
It's also hypothetical. So you're telling me that when you got ready to pitch,
yes,
you didn't plan for anything, try to plan for anything you didn't expect?
Nope.
Really?
I tried to force the things I expected.
Right, but sometimes things happen that you didn't expect.
Well, I expected the unexpected, so I expected it.
So are you going to pay for all those brains that are exploding in our viewing area? Who's going to get the bill for that? Oh, and 2. Tim, it's short on the charge for out number 2. So get the latest White Sox gear at the Chicago Sports Depot, your official store of the Chicago White Sox. You were saved by the promo there. Conveniently located by Gate 5 off at 35th Street. The depot can be accessed during games via the bridge by Section 145, and it's open 12 to 5 on non-game days. For current deals and promotions, follow the @White Sox store on Instagram.
See, I expected that promo. I just didn't know when it was coming.
Yeah, your response was not at all unexpected.
There you go. It was promo 5.
Let's go places.
Who felt that it would come in the bottom of the 5th inning?
So I want to take you back to the lost decade.
Okay, the 70s.
April 23rd, 1978. Dave Hamilton was a Cardinals pitcher. As that ball is rocked to right center field and gone. Nice night for Kipnis.
And that is the first home run Dylan Covey's given up this year. I felt with a lively ballpark and with now the wind blowing out toward right center, this would be a challenge for Dylan. And Kipnis has his 5th home run, his 2nd run batted in, his 2nd run scored to go with 3 for 3. And Jason, as he has done against our Sox, juices one, our 4th home run replay, and that turns out to be a no-doubter. Got up in the breeze and it took it out.
It's a long way to go for Dylan Covey for that first home run, as he'll face Perez now, the catcher. So what I was going to say was, April 23rd, 1978, Cardinals and Pirates are playing. Dave Hamilton was playing for the Cardinals. He was purchased by the Pirates on May 28th, and then June 26th they go ahead and play the second half of the suspended game, and he was on both teams, but he never pitched for either team in that game. So it's kind of sad, quirk-wise, that he never pitched in that game. What could have been?
He's still terribly disappointed, I'm sure.
Your love for suspended game trivia is really unsurpassed. One and two on the Cleveland catcher. Tap foul, third base side. Don Cooper.
What he's doing is looking over who's thrown in the bullpen, who might need an inning, how many warm-up pitches did he take, and just exactly who he thinks should be first man out of the chute if Dylan Covey needs to be taken down. And this is pitch number 91, so you wonder how long he's going in this one.
Check swing and no go. That was very close. Well, you'd imagine Joakim Soria is one of the guys that needs to throw, because it's been 5 days now since he got an inning. But you run into this question where if you use Soria in a non-save situation, then you have a couple close games in a row, then you have to burn him 3 straight days. So that's a decision the Sox will be making.
But with the philosophy that your closer especially will rust away before he wears away, they might want to get Soria an inning here today. Nate Jones disabled. Luis Avilan throwing very well at this point.
Jace Fry in the bullpen just wants to know whether or not Oregon State's going to continue in the College World Series. They're in a rain delay, a massive rain delay, or they have been for a while. Top of the 6th inning still against the Washington Huskies.
It's an elimination game.
It is. Jason, Oregon State Beaver through and through. Grew up in Oregon. Played at Oregon State for Pat Casey. That's strike 3, and Dylan Covey makes it through the 5th. Sox down 5.
It's a wonderful pitching matchup. Ronaldo Lopez takes him out against Corey Kluber. Coverage begins at 11:30 with White Sox pregame live. You can stream the game on the NBC Sports app.
Herm Schneider offering a spritz to Dylan Covey, who waved it off. It is a scorcher out there tonight, with some relief coming tomorrow for another night game before that day game you were talking about.
Might be some relief tonight as the clouds are building. Understand they're coming out of the north.
So, there's some amount of hypocrisy coming from my right. Moncada 0-2. Yohan's been on twice tonight with a single to right and a walk.
Might get a chance for that suspended game philosophy and all that trivia that goes with it right here in River City, Pally.
Thank you, Harold Hill. I could see you coming into somebody's town with a bunch of musical instruments and saying, "Join my band." 1-2. Check swing. He went around. Strike three. Eighth punch out for Trevor Bauer, who really does have vicious stuff.
Bauer's stuff is getting better as he rolls along. Sox got to him for a couple of hits in the first, one hit in the second, and that has been it. This is a biting breaking ball. Moncada has no chance of checking his swing. Goes a little too far. And there you see it. One walk, 8 strikeouts, and 5 1/3 as Bauer looks like he took exception to that defeat he absorbed in Chicago, because he's thrown much better here tonight than he threw in Chicago, and he threw very well in Chicago.
On the ground up the middle. Kipnis had time, gets Sanchez 2 down.
Yolmer over the course of his career has been mystified by Trevor Bauer. Now, he's not the Lone Ranger. Trevor has dominated a whole lot of hitters, but Yolmer just doesn't see the ball and has not had it out of the infield here tonight.
1 for 25 career against Bauer. Got better luck against Jack Bauer.
That's a tough go.
2 down for Abreu, who is well on pace to break the Sox record for doubles in a season. It's 48 by Albert Bell in 1998. Abreu already with 26. And this is through game number 70, now 71 tonight. Breaking ball hammered to short, and Lindor makes it look like a game of jacks. Presented by Guaranteed Rate, and a much-deserved break for the Winston-Salem Dash, who are going to the playoffs. They have their all-star break right now. Joel Booker, a near 300 average. Blake Rutherford with his 21 extra base hits. Basabe having a bounce-back year after an injury-plagued season last year. And how about Dylan Cease? He's pretty good, eh?
He's got great secondary stuff. It's really polished for a young pitcher, and we've got another pitcher coming in this one as the night is done for Dylan Covey. It's Hector Santiago. He ascends the hill on for the 22nd time. He's 2-2 ERA of 4.61, and he's become everyday Eddie Guardado.
He really has. 36 pitches the last 2 days. He's thrown both weekend games against the Tigers and back in. But you know, there are some guys that just say, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball.
And he'll take it. He said before the season he knows where he is in his career, and that's pretty much fill a hole wherever the hole arises. So whether it's as a starter, which he's done a number of times, or a reliever, long or short, eat up some innings, or come in to get a couple of left-handers out, Hector is able to do that. And for Dylan Cease, not his best night. I mean, not Dylan Cease, excuse me, Dylan Covey, not his best night. Dylan Cease had a very good night, I'm sure.
It's the all-star break.
Yeah, and 5 runs on 6 hits for Dylan Covey, including his first hit batsman of the year and his first home run of the year.
That is ball 4 on Lindor. I mean, Dylan Cease is another guy who has dealt with Tommy John surgery in his past. We showed you the numbers from Winston-Salem, and you would imagine that after the All-Star break, which is coming up for the 3 teams below AAA, after the All-Star break, we would see some shuffling of the deck and some guys who've earned promotions getting a chance to go up a level in the Sox minor league system and one step closer to White Sox baseball.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're going to see that.
Runners off, and Brantley fouls it away.
Lindor had a great jump, but at 0-1, Brantley couldn't afford to take it. Lindor looking for his 10th stolen base of the year.
Oh, 2. Brantley whacks it foul left side. Michael Brantley right now is just one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. He and Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor, a very dangerous top 3 in this order for Cleveland.
He's going to be a free agent, and Cleveland has a lot of decisions to make as far as free agency is concerned.
He's 31 years old, but you wonder, with all the time he's missed, does he have fresher legs than a typical 31-year-old?
I would say yes, and the Indians, I guess, are waiting to see if he holds up physically this year, but he gives every indication that he will. A lot of his injuries have been hustle injuries, not necessarily body falling apart injuries.
I mean, Ramirez and Lindor flanking him are 2 of the top 4 players according to wins above replacement. Ramirez so far worth 4.5 wins. Lindor about 3.5 as Michael Brantley's family looks on. His father in the crowd tonight. We've seen it year to year. When he's in the lineup, they are just better.
And they love him in the 2 spot.
Hard hit to third. A singed ball on a hop to Sanchez, and 2 on with nobody out.
I guarantee you that Yomer thinks he should have caught that one. It was 1 hop, It was seemingly in the glove, but too hot to handle. We'll see how it's scored. That's a tough play to make, certainly. And Yolmer decides he's got to go after it. And he'll let whoever's covering third cover it. As he tried to get down low, it is a base hit. That puts runners at first and second and nobody out, as the Indians looking for more.
That doesn't go into the category of free out, but it also goes into the category of if that play were to be made, you'd be in a lot better shape.
It's most likely a double play. If he can get it to stick in the glove, it was hit so hard, no chance to beat it out at first, I don't think.
Strike two, Ramirez. Nobody out, sixth inning, and Cleveland trying to put this game away. Terry Francona, skipper of these Indians, with a couple of World Series rings to his name. And Santiago steps off with Lindor jockeying off his second.
The wind now has shifted drastically and is blowing straight in from right field. So that's a tip-off that there are some storms in the area.
The other tip-off is the doomsday clouds of darkness. In the air left field, Charlie Tilson rushing in. He started back, and the Indians get another base runner.
That goes into the category of a play that should have been made but wasn't. That ball hit off the end of the bat, and I think Charlie thought it was hit much harder than it was. And the wind, recently freshening up, just batted it down. So Hector thinks it's an out. And there's no doubt that Ramirez thinks it's an out, only to see it fall safely in left field.
Wind is really picking up now, as the tempest of a rally does too. Encarnacion takes ball one. Encarnacion just does not look like the guy we've seen. He hit 30 or more home runs 6 straight years.
Yet he's got 16 of them. He just has not been in a groove much this year, with a batting average in the 220s.
Two and one to Encarnacion from Santiago. Hacked foul, 2-2. Sometimes the video board tells the fans to cheer. This one says scream.
Programmed enthusiasm. You gotta love it.
2-2. He struck him out. 91-mile-an-hour enthusiasm, one away.
Pretty late swing on the part of Encarnacion. And a big first out. Now with Alonso not able to run very well, you're a double play away from getting out of the inning, and he grounded into a double play in the fourth.
That's a called strike as Juan Minaya loosens up in the Sox bullpen. off the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike on Yonder Alonso. First baseman who has changed addresses quite a bit, but found a home in Cleveland this year for a first place team. Outside, 2-1.
Well, the Indians were looking for somebody to replace Carlos Santana, and Santana went to Philadelphia on a pretty nice free agent contract, and for that he's hitting .226. So they've got a guy who can produce the long ball and home runs and runs batted in. Alonso 11 and 37 on the power numbers.
To first, foul ball. That was a possible double play. Also could have gotten a run home. Instead, it never happened.
You see Addington throw up his hands, and Ryan said that it was on the other side of the line.
The drumbeat of Cleveland.
Wonder why those folks out there might think they have a headache every night. It's a good place to sit.
There's strike 3. Coming up June 29th, NBC Sports Chicago premieres a special documentary on the state of youth sports in America titled Fair Play. Before they were major leaguers with the Sox, players like this young man that you're going to see were simply kids being kids, playing all sorts of sports. Do you know who this young Sox personality is? With that winning smile and the orthodontic work?
Looks like Matt Davidson to me.
You think so?
I thought so.
We'll find out later.
Do I have a multiple choice?
I like that new initiative.
Do I have any choice?
Yeah, you have a multiple choice. It's 25 choices.
Oh,
there's Matt. Kind of looks like him.
Beard not quite the same.
He had just shaved right before that picture. That's upstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike.
We're with the bases loaded for Chisenhall has been pretty good.
One. That fades just outside. 2 balls and a strike, but this would be quite the magic act for Hector Santiago if he could wind his way through this bases loaded, nobody out situation. A walk and 2 singles. 2-1 to Chisenhall. And 2-2. He locked up a streaking bat in Lonnie Chisenhall.
Can't pull the trigger on one that had most of the plate.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Santiago upstairs. Fastball for sure.
I would think so.
What do you need in terms of guts to go away from it?
We can get him out with a slider. Let's see if he decides to try it.
He went fastball and it's fouled away.
Rajay Davis in the on deck circle waiting for his turn if indeed it comes this inning.
Three balls and 2 strikes.
think Kevin Smith wanted an inside fastball on that one. We'll see what he comes back with.
John Adams, the percussionist. Hector Santiago, the hurler. Kevin Smith, the signal man. 3-2 up high. Rajay Davis will get a turn. Ricky Renteria out to the mound. Hector has his night conclude after 6 batters. And the Sox dip into the bullpen further after this. Dates have been announced. Get 1 bleacher seat and 2 beers for just $22. Must be 21 and over with a valid ID. Bleachers and Brews presented by Budweiser. To get your tickets, go to whitesox.com/brews.
Time now for the Lakeside Bank call to the pen. Lakeside Bank, it's about time, and it's about time that Juan Minaya comes in the ball game. On for the 8th time is ZRA, a convenience store. He inherits the bases loaded. On 2 walks, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, and Hector Santiago is hoping he's not charged with 2 runs.
Rajay Davis. Goes after a first pitch breaking ball. 0-1.
Crew at the bases loaded for Rajay Davis has been exceptional.
Juan Minaya last threw on Friday. It was a 45-pitch outing for Minaya against Detroit. Two strikes. Check swing. Davis pulls the bat back. He did not go, says Ryan Addison, the first base umpire. Cleveland has 7 walks tonight, 4 strikeouts, and this Indians team is in the bottom half of baseball in terms of patience, by walks at least, but they have waited out Sox pitching so far tonight. Another foul ball from Rajay Davis.
Outfield straight away. Infield pretty much straight away also.
Check swing. He didn't go again.
Look at it from the side. Nothing doing, says Ryan Addison.
Two. Foul again to Rajay Davis, who made his major league debut in 2006 as a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He went on to San Francisco, then Oakland, then Toronto, then Detroit, then Cleveland for the first time, Oakland and Boston last year, and now the Indians. He spent no more than 4 years in one place. Speed for hire, and he is down. Manaea strikes out Davis, and the Sox dodge further trouble. Atlanta with 8, Sox with 7 right now, tied with San Diego, then Minnesota and Oakland and Tampa Bay. But by every accounting of prospects, we saw Fangraphs top 131. The Sox well represented there, 2 and 7 right now for the Sox in a loaded farm system that mostly has the day off today with the All-Star break. You know, it's interesting. You look at Michael Kopech's recent starts in AAA, and there are some big earned run average numbers. He had the 8-walk game. And when people evaluate that, they say, well, something must be wrong with him. And that's not necessarily true. When pitchers are in the minor leagues, sometimes coaches will tell them, hey, really rely on the changeup, rely on the curveball. And if that's uncomfortable, you can have some of those wonky outings, right?
Well, there's no doubt he's working on his secondary stuff because the fastball is there, and eventually he's going to get command of it. But until he's able to use a little finesse, they're probably not going to bring him up here. He's got to learn some lessons. Still a very young pitcher. He just is a very talented pitcher with a big fastball. But unless the secondary stuff is polished, you're going to have a hard time moving up to the major leagues, because you don't find that many soft spots in major league lineups.
heard a lot of people in AAA say that the major difference between AAA and the majors, guys who have come back to AAA from the majors, have said the biggest change is that there are really no gimmicks in a major league lineup. And in AAA, some nights you might have one or two that hedge that direction.
Well, that's the biggest difference. Yeah, you might find two guys you don't want to pitch to in key situations, and the rest of the guys you feel you can get out. You can expand that to 4 or 5 guys in the major leagues. And Perez goes out there after Bauer has some problems with his release point, not wanting to let this one get away. It still is 6-0. However, nobody has to tell Trevor Bauer that the bullpen has not been particularly good, and he wants to get a little deeper in this game before he makes an exit.
Bauer collects himself. 2-1. To right field, Lonnie Chisenhall. 1 down. Our fair play young Sox player that we told you about. Steve's guess was that it's Matt Davidson. And considering that Matt's walking to the plate right now, I have to imagine, yes, indeed, you were right. It is a young Matt Davidson. The documentary Fair Play Youth Sports in America takes an inside look at the multifaceted world of organized sports. It premieres Friday, June 29th, 7:30. Right here on NBC Sports Chicago. You're better at that than yardsticks and stone.
I used to work in a carnival. People used to walk up. I'd tell them what they'd look like in 20 years.
Did you guess their weight too?
Well, that was easy.
And how many candy corns are in this jar?
That was also easy.
You know, one thing about Matt Davidson, and he was very young in that picture, but I was talking to Trace Thompson about a month ago, and he and Davidson played together when they were younger. High school age, things like that. And Trace said he could always tell, and there were some very talented players on those teams that they were around in California. He could always tell that Matt Davidson was going to be a big leaguer.
He's turned into a very powerful big leaguer.
As you saw the telecast yesterday, if you were watching the pregame show with all of the messages for Father's Day from White Sox kids and some pets, little Wake Davidson, who's just a couple years old, has a mean home run stroke. There's a video of Brixton, Matt's daughter, saying Happy Father's Day, and then she ran up to little Wake, who had the ball on the tee, and in what looked to be their home apartment, the Davidson family, Wake took this massive swing and bashed the ball, and it rang around the hallways, and he just went running into the bedroom. So there you go, little Wake with some pop. Polka at first, 1 down. That's smashed to left center field on a line, but Rajay Davis is underneath.
Can't hit it much harder than that, but they were shifted perfectly, and Davis made the catch. I would say pretty stout exit velocity on that line drive.
I would too.
190.
If we had StatCast when you were pitching,
Yes.
would you have looked at the readouts, and how often, if yes?
For the longer home runs, yeah, I would be very proud of those.
Here's out number 3, more Schadenfreude with Steve Stone, or at least self-hate after this. scheduled to pitch against the Phillies, and well, decided to reject his lunch before he pitched. Then pitched to a couple of batters. Blas Diaz had some fun with him, and well, then he gave up his lunch one more time.
You can only have so many brats before the game.
I don't think that's what happened. Well, maybe. Craig Counsell said it was an early wake-up call and a number of factors. He was not under the weather, but evidently the pregame meal wasn't exactly the best.
Well, it can happen.
Can it?
Oh, sure.
Twice?
Yes.
He finished the inning.
I know. I've made myself sick with a couple of my performances also.
Did we bring the snare drum on the road is the only question, or is it home with Doug Bullard? 1-2 on Kipnis. Do you ever get close to that on the mound?
No.
Really? You feel for him, but also there's a laugh to be had.
Flu-like symptoms.
Flu-like symptoms, are those like baseball activities, when you can be cleared for baseball activities?
It's very close, yes. This has been one of the heroes tonight. Jason Kipnis, as he so often does, torching Sox pitching. 2 singles, 2 runs scored, 2 driven in with a home run.
Foul ball, third base side. Sanchez meets the tarp. Hey, MLB at Bat is your #1 White Sox app. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get White Sox home screen icons and features such as the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. And if you make the White Sox your favorite team, you click on the At Bat app and your home screen will have White Sox news and information, including the lead story from Scott Merkin about Eloy Jimenez being up for promotion. There's out #1. Kipnis retired for the first time tonight. That's not to say, don't only hear part of that. That's not to say Eloy Jimenez is getting promoted, but he is somebody that Rick Hahn, when he was talking to the media before this game, raved about, and his success in the minors so far this year. Rick Hahn said, yes, there will be many promotions, and Eloy Jimenez had a marvelous first half, among the quotes from Rick Hahn before the game. One down for Perez. From Anaya for strike 1.
Indians have a little over 17,000 here tonight. They had a very good crowd over the weekend, over 90,000, which is not bad when you consider 35 plus capacity here, Progressive Field.
You couldn't get a seat with this place open for a long time.
455 straight sellouts.
Some about Ohio too. The Dayton Dragons, the A-ball team in the Midwest League, have like the longest sellout streak in minor league baseball too. Ohio baseball fans, there you see the 455 commemorating Cleveland's sellout streak.
Field to first. Addington said nope, nothing doing.
What rhyme scheme is that?
The 90s tribe? Vibe of the 90s tribe?
Look out. Foul back below the radio booth, and our friends Tom Hamilton and Jim Rosenhaus. Rain is coming.
It is indeed.
Let's play through it.
I feel pretty good about it because I brought my bumper chute.
Plan to share that, or?
No. You mean on the way home?
Thanks. Neither does she.
Nope, the kids are going to be out in the rain because that's the way it goes when you don't remember to bring your umbrella. And now it's starting to really blow.
You said it. Off the wall. And Perez is safe.
That was a great throw. Would have had him, but the ball trickles away, and the rain continues to fall. So Perez, with his second double of the night, came in hitting 136. Loves to hit Sox pitching. He thinks he hit it out of the ballpark, so he'll admire that for a bit. Yep, it's going to stay in. Roberto. Ball hits high off the wall, and Adam Engel does a nice job. He's made 2 very good throws tonight.
You mentioned it a couple of times, and you're exactly right. When the wind changed, you could get the feel that there was weather coming in, and that wind has really started to blow and howl in right field and change direction. And the rain came soon after.
And the fans now scampering for cover.
Sheets of rain.
Yeah, I don't think the heavy stuff is coming in until later, though.
That hood, I don't know, is high powered enough. Just guessing. Yeah, that's the leftovers from Johnny Bag of Glass.
Get it prepared. You never know what happens, especially
I like that guy
in Cleveland.
Mike Napoli's here.
I think I'm going to take the majority of the electronics and move them to another part of the booth.
You do?
Yes.
An interesting call. I'm going to follow suit. This guy is a true fan. He's the authentic fan here at Cleveland tonight. Our window's being closed by magic.
How about that? I'll tell you what, these 25-year-old ballparks, this is amazing. Hydraulics, well, that's the future. Hydraulics.
Only thing they didn't think of was windshield wipers for the window. Two balls and 2 strikes. Oh, the glove's an interesting decision.
Yeah, that'll protect you. And I believe that they're going to call a halt to this at this point. I need a bib personally.
Well, we do have ye old rain delay. And down the stretch they come. It justifies of the tarp crew.
You know, it's really easy the first time.
It is.
You roll that out, you get 2 or 3 delays, and the guys are going a little bit less quick to roll it out when it gets laden with water. But right now it's fairly easy. Easy for me to say watching it.
You ever been on a tarp crew?
Oh, yeah. Lots of tarp crews. No, I've been on none.
I didn't
Total
know.
of none.
And sometimes in the minors, players, when the grounds crew needs some help, they'll run out and assist. I thought you would be that type of guy.
We didn't have a grounds crew. That's how far ago. That's how long ago I played.
6-0. We're going to step aside. Steve, philanthropic as always, helping with the tarp, and Yolmer in for cover. They get the field taken care of. We're in a rain delay in Cleveland. Last we saw the Sox, they were on that bench, and now they are in the field. Juan Minaya back to the mound. It was not a long enough rain delay that he has to get bounced from the game. And so with the Indians leading in the bottom of the 7th, we will get back underway.
Let's take a look at the high-speed action powered by Xfinity. And it is a night that Trevor Bauer will remember for a bit because he was just outstanding. Sox just could not break through against him. You would think that he would be done for the night, giving up just 3 hits through 7 innings. Sox didn't hit the ball very hard against him, and he outpitched Dylan Covey after getting outpitched by Dylan Covey in Chicago.
So the count right now 2-2 on Francisco Lindor. Roberto Perez at second base. And Lindor, who's been on twice and driven a run in with a sac fly, stands in. I don't know if this is good news or bad news, but John Adams, the drummer, is still here.
That's great news, especially if you're sitting around him.
That's up and out. 3 balls and 2 strikes. John Adams, I know him. 35-minute delay officially. 3-2. There's strike 3 downstairs, and Lindor wiped out by Minaya.
That was a long at bat for him.
It was the longest of his career, maybe. Who needs Brandon Belt in his 21 pitches and foul balls? Lindor got him. But what if he was traded during the rain delay?
Apparently that happened.
Yeah, Kelvin Herrera not involved in the suspended game today, but he is going to one of the teams that participated. Herrera traded from the Royals bullpen to the Washington Nationals.
That's a huge addition for Washington because Herrera at his best is, if not untouchable, he's the next thing closest to it, because he's got great stuff and was a great setup man and now a pretty good closer.
First base side, Abreu bobbles, recovers.
Well, he had all kinds of time as Bradley. I don't know what he thought about it, but he just didn't take off from the batter's box, and that's it.
He thought it was foul, it seems. However, he's checking his cleats as well. That will do it. Bye-bye, 7th inning. Oh, he fell.
An official White Sox MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC. And Evan Marshall just recalled from the minor leagues in the game. On for the 10th time, the ERA up there. 8 strikeouts, 6 2/3, but he has given up 10 hits. And right-handers have torched him, which usually for a right-hand pitcher with left-handers hitting 200 means a good change, and we'll see tonight.
Evan Marshall up from AAA Columbus for the injured Tyler Olson. Really happy that we're not in Columbus tonight because the Clippers, with their new stadium, have an outdoor press box.
I think that is a splendid idea for them.
You do?
Yeah.
Like on a night like tonight?
Sure. A lot of electrical equipment. Very nice.
Sort of like Doc in Back to the Future. Charlie Tilson takes ball one from Marshall. Trevor Bauer's 7 innings of scoreless baseball tonight. 3 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. So 19 punch-outs for Bauer in his last 2 starts against the Sox. Wide of first, foul, 1-1.
Young fan very happy with Yonder Alonso as he tossed him a souvenir. That's what happens if you wait through a rain delay. You have the patience and the rain gear to be able to survive it.
Well, we saw some very right-brained solutions from the Indians fans tonight. Popcorn bag, umbrella for one, glove.
It was a good idea. Most of the people were prepared.
Sox fans sticking around through the rain.
Very serious looking Sox fan, wondering how to get at least 6.
Strike 3. A rare 2 strikeout game for Charlie Tilson, and 1 away.
Was indeed that change from Marshall. That's the reason why lefty's hitting 200 and now under 200 against him.
Here's Adam Engel. And one arches in for a strike. Former 4th round pick of the Diamondbacks, Evan Marshall, back in 2011. Mike Clevenger drafted 14th in that round by the Angels at the time.
That was a good trade for the Cleveland Indians. As Clevenger has become a mainstay in their starting rotation.
Outside 2-1 on Engel. Vinny Pastano going the other way in that trade.
He was a setup man and then kind of ran out of stuff relatively quickly. Clevenger has absolutely thrived. He was 12-6 last year.
But this starting rotation has taken the wheel for this team in terms of pitching for the Indians. And Terry Francona, we talk about it all the time. He'll use his bullpen through the night. But he does give a lot of leeway to the starting pitchers on this team. They're eating up significant innings. Tip foul.
There's Soria. We speculated he would need an inning tonight, and he will get an inning, it appears. Bauer now has over 100 innings pitched. Kluber has over 100 innings pitched. Clevenger 91 innings pitched. Carrasco 91 innings pitched. So they have relied heavily on their starting rotation.
That hits Engel. Hey, White Sox fans, don't let your setbacks limit you. Start your comeback today by visiting Athletico.com to request your complimentary injury screening and have your pain or injury assessed by our experts for free. Athletico, the official physical therapy provider of the Chicago White Sox. Athletico, better for everybody. It's Yohan Moncada, who's 1 for 2 in the game. we hear that the delay that was supposed to be the Cubs game has gone longer than anticipated. There is a little bit of a lighting issue. And so we thank you for joining us. If you're taking a look for baseball, you found it, just not in the place you expected. Sox are trailing Cleveland as Yoan Moncada, after a 35-minute rain delay in this game, comes up for the 4th time. Left field side and foul, 1-2, with Sanchez coming next. Tomorrow's game will be on WGN. The Sox and Indians, another 6:10 Chicago time start. And Carlos Rodon scheduled to make his 3rd start of the year against Mike Clevenger for Cleveland. Carlos said he just felt a little bit out of sync that 2nd start. Right side and through. Moncada with a base hit. Angle to 2nd. Here are some numericals on tomorrow's starters, with Rodon and Clevenger facing off. Carlos at 360, Clevenger at 315.
Clevenger having a fine year. The ERA way down there. Last year the ERA was 3.11, so he's been very consistent for the Indians and taken his rightful spot as a mainstay in that rotation. And now Marshall having some problems here in the 8th.
There's Clevenger. You see the hair sneaking out of the hood. Lucas Giolito for the Sox, waiting out the rain delay. There's nothing really like knowing you're not going to pitch in the series and waiting out a rain delay. What are you going to do? He's got nothing to do.
And nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. Want to know on Sanchez and time called, with Abreu coming next. Sox trying to make it sting a little bit. You can help yourself for later in the series if you get deeper into the bullpen.
Yolmer just happy that Bauer is not in the game any longer. He had a tough time with him, and he's had a tough time throughout his career.
He'd be happy if Trevor Bauer was in another country.
The tried pen is getting ready to go. It's Neil Ramirez, who has been the primary setup man. He's one of the guys that Terry Francona has come to depend on.
Fouled off left side by Sanchez, 1-2. Evan Marshall making sure he's ready to throw. One-two. Fisted over shortstop into left field. Engel held up momentarily. Brantley's throw is offline, and the Sox are on the board. Yolmer Sanchez drives in Engel, 6-1.
Yolmer drives in his 29th, and Terry Francona's not going to be terribly patient. Marshall was having trouble before he went to the minor leagues, and he's come back, and the trouble persists. We'll take another look at it. This one not hit well, but finds a nice place to land. Speed of Engel gets him around Perez and in for the first score of the night.
So Carl Willis out to the mound, and You're one Jose Abreu swing away from making this a totally different game.
Well, this has been the kind of year for Terry Francona. Looking out at that bullpen and seeing a lot of ERAs in the 6s. He's had a couple of guys that have been good. Certainly Allen at the tail end has been very good with 14 saves. Terry Francona probably thinking one hit away from going to that pen once again. Oliver Perez has been a good left-handed option for him. And Ramirez has been the good right-handed option. So those are the two setup men.
All this stems from the hit batters. So Engel hit, Moncada a base hit, Sanchez a hit, and Abreu takes inside. Daniel Palka next. Way inside, and Marshall.
I think he hurt himself.
Yeah, I think so. Good call, Steve. Watch the reaction.
As soon as he throws it, the expression on his face is not good, and he's going to depart. That is going to allow Ramirez as many pitches as he wants, but he was pretty close to loosened up anyway. But you feel bad for Evan Marshall just coming back from the minor leagues, and he'll leave with an injury. And if we have any updates at all, we certainly will let you know. So right now we'll step out as he runs in, and we'll be back. With as many pitches as he'd like, but we said he was pretty close to ready, and he is in fact ready to go. So if he does wind up walking Jose Abreu, that walk is going to be charged to Marshall. Other than that, the resolution of this at bat belongs to Ramirez and Abreu.
So a partial line for Marshall. Third of an inning, 2 hits, a hit batter, and a strikeout. And suddenly Terry Francona has to dip into that bullpen more than he expected or hoped yet again. 2-0 on Jose. Fought it off foul.
In limited action, a good batting average against Ramirez lifetime.
Jose got the day off yesterday, just his second game off in 2018. And Ricky Renteria said before the game he's had to fight Abreu a couple of times to try to get him out of the lineup. Jose usually bargains him to DH at least. That's in 3-1. Daniel Palka, who can hammer the baseball standing on deck. Moncada at second, Sanchez at first, and time called. Three and one. Ramirez, 2. Abreu. Jose pops it up. Looked like it was going to be ball 4. He tried to drive in a run, and Lindor puts him away. 2 down. You get the feeling that if the Sox were scoring more runs as a team, Jose might have let that one go by.
Could possibly be, but he doesn't want to leave it to anybody behind him. He is the run producer of this team, and you've got to expand that strike zone on occasion.
Daniel Palka takes ball 1. 35-minute rain delay in the bottom of the 7th. One and one. Fisted towards second, deep second, and Kipnis racing through the shift. Sox get a run, no more. It's 6-1.
Time for the Miller Lite hold true moment, and it came in the second inning off the bat of Roberto Perez. He drives it against the fence and it disappears. So it's a 2-run double. His first of 2 doubles tonight, and then the youngsters try to get the ball and flip it over the fence. They can't do it, but a little help and a souvenir well earned. So Joakim Soria comes in the ball game.
He's gotten older. This game's been so long.
How old is he?
He's like 30 now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, not Soria, the fan. See, it was a riff on the rain delay.
Only 35 minutes. Not so bad, actually.
No, not at all.
Especially when most of it was raining in here in the booth.
We didn't bring our road tarp. It's usually your job, but you drove here, so.
It's true.
Two 2-0 on Ramirez. Soria has not thrown since Wednesday. And Ramirez takes him foul to the highest level of this ballpark and then bouncing down.
Hammered into a nearly vacant upper deck.
Our next telecast of White Sox baseball is Wednesday, an 11:30 pregame show. Chuck Garfien will be raring to go. 12:10 first pitch, and the second time they've met, Reynaldo Lopez and Corey Kluber. Getaway day feeder once again. I don't hear the drum anymore.
I think he collapsed. He just drummed out.
I don't think so.
They drummed him out of the court.
3 balls and 2 strikes. It's one of the neat little accoutrements of this ballpark. John Adams and his drum. Three and 2. Tilson. 1 down. Charlie was talking about that before the game. He has some family coming to the ballpark, and Charlie was telling them that if they sit close to where he's playing in the outfield, they may, very possibly, hear a drum. But at 6-1 after a rain delay, he's basically done.
He's exhausted. Getting tendonitis, I believe, in his drumming hand.
He travels to the beat of a different drum. You bring Linda Ronstadt with you to do that song on the road, or what?
Try not to.
Weren't you her backup singer?
No.
Different drum?
That was the group.
Oh, the Stone Ponies.
Yes.
I ain't saying you ain't pretty.
Geez, it is late.
2 strikes on Encarnacion. Third base, Sanchez for round number 2.
Just like the same thing with Brantley's ground ball. It sounds like when it hits, it's hitting into a moat and then just trickles out to the infielders.
You're saying that we took on some water.
It didn't rain long, but it did rain hard, and before the grounds crew could get the tarp out, it did. Except a whole lot of water in that infield.
Soria to Alonso, and he gets the pop-up. Sanchez for round number 3. Sox need 5. To the 9th we go.
ninth inning, and it is Dan Otero. So a few Sox fans have stayed around to see the finale of this. On for the 26th time. He's 1-1 with an ERA at 6.
Steve, approach
Yes.
this ninth inning with a purpose.
It's a
Take
good
that kid's
philosophy.
advice. It's good advice from that youngster.
Very good.
Kevin Smith to lead off the ninth. Kevin's hit streak on the line. He's got a hit in every game with the Sox this year, and 12 in a row dating back to 2017. ZZ Top sticking it out.
It's a good look.
Lindor. Here's Matt Davidson, who's 1 for 3 with a double down the first base line. First one, a strike.
Matt hit the ball very hard in the 7th inning, but nothing to show for it except the line out to Davidson center.
Official word on Evan Marshall is right elbow soreness, and that is not a good sign considering the response physically he had to the pain. Terry Francona may be on the hunt for someone else to fill out his bullpen. We shall see. Davidson in the air, right field, and gone. Back-to-back games with a home run for Davidson at 6-2.
That's 13 of them, and he's driven in 32 on his second hit of the night, so he's hit the ball very well tonight. And that the opposite way, so the wind has died down to right field, but this line drive just barely made it. Our Ford home run replay. Team leader in home runs, Matt Davidson.
He's now scored a run in 4 consecutive games, and Matt seems to be getting back into that groove that he felt early on in the year. Foul ball from Anderson. Well, the one thing that's a constant for Matt Davidson is the hair game is typically about a 70 out of 80. The flow, as they say. That home run from Matt, another generous donation from the Alex Snellius family in loving memory of Ursula. He's got the California look, Matt Davidson, and he's got some power to boot. He struck him out, 2 down. It's up to Charlie Tilson. Trevor Bauer was once again exceptional against the Sox. 7 innings of scoreless ball tonight. Sox need 4 runs to catch up fully.
He won the race today. He's very happy with himself.
Mustard's pretty pleased too. Mustard, a burgeoning conductor.
He had a tough race. He fell during the race.
On the ground and foul, first base side. You really relish that hot dog race, don't you?
I do. Not as good as the sausage race in Milwaukee, but it's okay. I like the pierogi race, however. That's Onion, and boy, she had a terrible race.
It's a veritable ninth inning buffet. Crowd wants it, won't get it. 2-2. Two and two to Tilson. And it's off the plate. 3 balls, 2 strikes. First place, Cleveland trying to close out a win. Sox trying to stay alive. 3-2. On the ground, Otero has the boomerang, and that will do it. Cleveland wins the opener 6-2, despite Davidson's 9th inning home run.
There's too much Trevor Bauer as he goes above 500 at 6-5. His ERA stays very good. Dylan Covey just didn't have it tonight, and so they're 1-1 in their personal matchup. Ricky knows you go back and get him tomorrow. So we will see you then. It's a night game. Remember that.
I will. Thank you, Stoney. If I'm not here, give me a call. 6-2 your final score. Cleveland with the victory, and we say good night for our producer Denny Blunt, our director Todd Benjaminson, our associate producer Dave Ross, the executive producer Greg Bowman, and our entire crew here in Cleveland. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti saying good night from Progressive Field. Coming up next, Subaru Post-Game Live. Bill Melton, Chuck Garfien have it for you. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball and a little bit of rain as well. 6-2. Good night.